Okay, sample paper B from educate.ie, quick run through. This is to do with weights, pretty straightforward. The octagon drawn on a square, so you join the diagonals, get the radius from the centre, swing the arcs from each of the corners, which will get you your 8 points, and you can draw your octagon. Part C here, you're given the length of the side of the pentagon. I think it was given actually the side, maybe I can't remember now if it was or not, but you'd have to draw it anyway near the bottom if you haven't given it. Number of ways of drawing that there. I'd go with the 45-60 and then bisect the distance and draw my circle, and then I'm able to draw the outline of my pentagon. For the pattern you had to divide, so you had to divide the side here to get a point in order to be able to draw this pattern here. And it's only a matter of including the pattern in that there and going around it. There's nothing complicated. You're given all the sizes and you're given the angles as well too, so it should be pretty easy to draw that. Then on this here, this is just relating to triangles. I'm not going to go through that there, it was pretty easy. This one here is just really a pattern that we were given. Start by using the center line here and mark out your measurements along your center line, so your 20s, 10s and so on. And then just with each of these points here, then once you've got, you're given the 70 for the one up here, you might be, I think that was the one I drew first, and then you got this line which is giving you each of your start points for here and here, and you're able to do your parallels then on it. So it is pretty straightforward, but you have to kind of be careful running through it as well. On this here, a sketch, just keep the proportions. I used ellipses for the what you call it, for the wheels. Don't spend too much time on it, get the proportions middling good and away you go on it. This here is self-explanatory too. You're looking for the objects and the different views of the orthographics. I'm not going to go through that. This is a development of this here. It's the first big question on the paper. You have to be careful, everything's matching up, and there's one of the sides has the piece that's cut out. I can't remember exactly if it was given some of this in the startup. I'm not sure if it was now, but I just used the base as two parallel lines to be able to start the whole thing up. Oh yeah, you were given the broken line here for the base of the object, and there is a number of ways of going about this here, but just make sure your sides are matching and taking the distances out. And of course I had to divide up the quadrant of the circle to get these distances 0, 1, 2, 3. I didn't label anything else on it there. That was the only bit of labeling that I'd done on it. But you can see as it would fold back on itself that it completes the overall object. So that's straightforward. Good question. This one here is central symmetry. Can be a wee bit difficult, but if you take it methodically and just label the points around and then project them through the center, and they're obviously going the same distance past wherever the point is, and relabel them as well too. You will notice that there'll be certain things that'll line up in this here as well too, like and there'll be certain parallels and that sort of thing to the other side, but don't be looking for them there. Just kind of go through the distances first. This is unusual since the thing was removed from the exam part, but it'll probably be up in future years anyway. So the one I picked was a sketch command to draw the outline of the thing, the extrude boss, and I went with a fillet at the end. You could do it differently. This is another big question here, and quite a nice question. You have to set up, you can set up your elevation and set up your end view. I think one of the things that kind of throws people in this when they look at it is these lines here, and if you kind of put them out of your head and ignore it until the very end and don't bother drawing anything into the end, it essentially is just the box part of it, which has got the slopes and that, and you need this end view here to get the exact location where each of the elements of the divisions of the circle hit here. And basically what you're working is make sure you label them and you work your way around, and obviously go for the top and bottom and the two side points when you're setting up. So if you follow in 0, bring 0 down and across, and it's meeting where 0 is, and then 6 as well too, where it meets here, down and across. There is different ways of doing that there over there, but essentially you're building up this curvature here, and a few wee small things in it about the broken line, which would be this edge here which is passing under it. Other than that there, good question, good orthographic projection question. This one here is just taking measurements. Not going to go look at that there. The rotation, a couple of ways of doing this here. I think you had to divide it into 12 equal spaces initially, then just that was divided up. What I done here was you were given A to A, so that's the center line of this here, and what I done was I rotated up to get where each of the divisions are here, and then I just went perpendicularly off it, and these are two parallel lines to match them up to that. This one here, what I done was, yeah, a stop sign basically added to the center car barrier, inscribed the shape of the stop sign within the circle. So what I done was I just drew a random, and I drew it in a square, a random octagon, and I got that angle, and then I drew the angle through the center, and that got me my points then, and I was able to go about drawing it. Just was using a 45-degree set square, so easy enough then. There's probably other ways of doing that there, but that's the way I done it. Not going to look at that there. This one here, pretty good in the sense that I use the trammel to draw the part of the ellipse here, and it's straightforward because you're given your axis and you're given your sizes. There's nothing terribly difficult in that there. You have your height, everything for your circle. You're given this distance here of 32, so what you do is off the center line is you take the arc and you scribe it to 30, and that gets you your center, and you're able to draw your circle. Up here you have the point here and you have the point here, so basically you treat it as a chord and bisect that and brings it up to where it hits the central axis and gets you your center. So that's straightforward. It's a good question. You don't know the radius for that there, so that's what you have to do. You're given the distance down 26, and you know that the distance over here is in line with the outside part of the ellipse. So good question, and shouldn't take that while long to draw, but I suppose it's testing enough. This one here, a sketch of the Hoover. Look for the different parts. There's wee segments are drawn in that there. I don't know whether they need to be drawn or not, but you can take the shape of it. This here is just projecting back to the two vanishing points and trying to build up the object, so I'm not going to go through that. This one here, it looks kind of complicated with all these different bits and pieces in it, but it's essentially just a parabola. So you have to locate what your vertex is there, and that's where I kind of started out. Was I drew the I can't remember what was, oh yes, I see the ABCD was given to us. So located me 2 points, like the E and G, and then the vertex, which is F up there. Divided it up, and this time I went with 4, so they're parallel to the axis, and these ones are sloped out, and I got my curve, and everything else is straightforward. I see that I don't have this part here drawn in, but I think I have the essential parts of it here. Yeah, I should have drawn that there. Look, I should have drawn a line across that there. I should have a set square for this here. That should be taken across there, and where it hits here and here should have 2 vertical lines as well too. I'm only drawing them in very random here, seeing as I missed the thing when I went around it first time. And it says colour or shaded. I didn't colour or shade it, but I think everybody would know how to colour or shade. And the image below shows a pair of maracas. You have to shade these in. Don't spend a fortune of time on it. I use colour because I find it quicker. This here was ridiculously small scale to be able to draw these things, the tangents and that, and it's tricky enough, you know, because of the size. I just joined the centres. I had to join centres and bisect it and draw a semicircle. That's needed for pretty much all of those tangents. But then what you have to do is you have to take the radius of this one here away from the radius of the big circle, and you draw a smaller circle inside here and get you your point of contact, and you have to go parallel then to that there to get that other one. And that's not that easy, and I know I've gone through that very quickly there. You could look up that construction in your textbook or whatever. This one here then is even more tricky, and kind of surprised to see it on there. What you have to do here again is you join center to center, draw your semicircle, and then what you have to do is you have to add the radii on to the bigger radii and swing an arc. Where it hits here, join it back to the center, it gets you your point of contact, and then you use that normal then to go parallel to get the other one down there. And that might be This might, it just might take too long to go through something like that here in this particular question, or the particular setup. This one here, pretty good question. There was nothing terribly complicated in it. You're given all your dimensions here, so you have to just redraw this over here. So you kind of build it up in stages. Don't try and do everything all at once. Even though there's tangents in that there, they're very, very easy to get, in the sense that you're given this angle. And yeah, I just kind of set up what I could draw from the circles and started to work my way around it. Here you just have to look for the, yeah, there's one tangent from a point to the center, which there's a semicircle drawn in there, might be hard to see there, and where the semicircle where the semicircle hits, there it gives us a point of contact, and I have the point of contact over there. I think I just took it perpendicular, but there's nothing complicated in that there, even though it is one of the bigger ones. So I have it noted here to start on this side here to locate C2, because I think there is an angle that is worked out from this here, and I forget that. But anyway, that there is sample paper B.